A very good evening and a very warm welcome to State of Business on our television. I'm Savindra Jawad and let's look at the top stories for the day. Agreement was signed for the first investment within the Colombo port city. MCC finally withdraws its $480 million grant to Sri Lanka. News in detail. The first investment within the Colombo port city will commence with the $1 billion Colombo International Finance Center Mixed Development Project. The momentous agreement between Brown's Investments, the strategic investment arm of the LOLC Group, and China Harbour Engineering Company Limited was signed this morning in the presence of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa and Ambassador of China to Sri Lanka, Kee Zeng Hong. With an initial investment of $1.4 billion and an expected overall investment of $15 billion when completed, the port city is set to be the leading business, retail, residential and tourist destination in South Asia. The project comprises a total land area of 6.8 hectares implemented under two phases. The first phase of the CIFC Mixed Development Project with an investment of $450 million and comprising a land area of 3.06 hectares will consist of the incorporation of a special purpose vehicle company jointly managed by Brown's Investment and Sheikh. The overall project, which will be implemented in a sustainable and socially responsible manner, expects to create significant quality employment opportunities across a variety of sectors. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, speaking at the event to sign the agreement, said attracting foreign direct investment is a key priority and the port city project would be a strong indicator that Sri Lanka is now back in business. Premier Rajapaksa also added that he invites investors from around the world to explore the multitude of investment opportunities that Sri Lanka presents with its strategic location and human resource capabilities. Ambassador of China to Sri Lanka, Kee Zeng Hong, said that China once again demonstrates its confidence in Sri Lanka and commitment to help Sri Lanka's economic and social development. He also added that the International Financial Centre project will not only effectively boost the vigorous growth of Sri Lanka's finance and other industries, but also create more high-quality job opportunities benefiting the general public and society. Millennium Challenge Corporation has decided to withdraw the proposed $480 million grant to Sri Lanka. The U.S. Embassy in Sri Lanka, issuing a press statement today, stated that the Millennium Challenge Corporation Board has decided to discontinue the proposed MCC grant to Sri Lanka due to the lack of partner country engagement. A committee headed by Professor Lalitha Sirigunduwan was appointed by the new government to study the MCC agreement and make recommendations to the government on how to proceed with it. Convening a media briefing on 3rd of July this year, the committee stated that Sri Lanka should not sign the MCC agreement in its current form. Thereby, a decision has been reached during a meeting of MCC's Board of Directors on last Tuesday to withdraw the proposed grant to Sri Lanka. Accordingly, the U.S. Embassy in Sri Lanka states that the Millennium Challenge Corporation Board decided to discontinue the proposed 89 billion rupee MCC Development Assistance Grant to Sri Lanka due to lack of partner country engagement. Thus, the press statement noted that 89 billion rupees approved for Sri Lanka will be made available to other eligible partner countries in need of grant funding to pursue their economic development priorities, reduce poverty and grow their economies. Moreover, the U.S. Embassy's today's statement assures that the United States will remain a friend and partner to Sri Lanka and will remain supportive to Sri Lanka in responding to COVID and building its economy. Samagi Janabalawege laments on the decision by the Millennium Challenge Corporation to withdraw its $480 million compact offer to Sri Lanka. SJB Putlam District MP Niroshana Pereira, addressing the media in Colombo today, said that Sri Lanka has lost another opportunity.
අද වෙනකොට අපිට දැනගන්න ලැබිලා තියෙනවා ඇමරිකාව විසින් MCC ගිවිසුමෙන් ශ්‍රී ලංකාව ඉවත් කළා තියෙනවා. ඒ නිවේදනයේ එතනදී රටවල් ගණනාවක් අලුතෙන් සහ ඒ යන වැඩසටහනට එකතු කරන ගමම්ම විශේෂයෙන්ම ශ්‍රී ලංකාව විතරක් මේ MCC ගිවිසුමෙන් ඉවත් කිරීමට තීරණය නිවේදනය කළා තියෙනවා. දැන් අපි දැක්කා පසුගිය මැතිවරණයට ඉස්සෙල්ලා මේ වත්මන් රජය නියෝජනය කරන බොහෝ පිරිස් MCC ගිවිසුමට විරුද්ධව විවිධ මත ප්‍රකාශ කරා. විවිධ චෝදනා කරා. ජනතාව නොමග ඇව්වා. අන්තිමට ඒකේ ප්‍රතිඵලයක් ලෙස MCC ගිවිසුම සංශෝධනය කළා හරි මේ රටට ලබා ගන්න තිබුණු ඒ අවස්ථාව නැති කළා දැන්. දැන් අන්තිමට මේ නටලා ලංකාවට යම්කිසි ප්‍රධානයක් ලබා ගන්න තිබුණු අවස්ථාව අද නැති කරලා තියෙනවා.
Stay tuned for more news right after this break. Welcome back after the break. The Department of Census and Statistics states that the growth of the country rebounded to 1.5% in the third quarter after severe contraction of 16.3% in second quarter. Thus, overall agriculture and manufacturing activities and many of the service activities have reported positive growth rates when compared to the third quarter in the year 2019. Issuing a communique on releasing national accounts estimates for the third quarter of 2020, the Department of Census and Statistics states that the GDP growth rate for the third quarter of 2020 has been estimated as 1.5% of positive growth rate when compared to the 2.4% of positive growth recorded in the third quarter of 2019. The gross domestic product for Sri Lanka for the third quarter of 2020 at constant price has increased up to 2,545,863 rupees from 2,509,418 rupees, which recorded in the third quarter of 2019. Accordingly, for the first time in the year 2020, all three major economic activities of agriculture, industry and services have reported positive growth rates in the third quarter of 2020. The agriculture sector has reported a substantial growth in the value addition of the agricultural production by 4.3% during the third quarter in the 2020. The industrial sector has also reported 0.6% of growth during this quarter. Out of that, the manufacturing industry has shown a significant growth by 5.3% during this quarter when compared to the third quarter in the year 2019. Moreover, the services sector too recorded 2.1% of positive growth rate during this quarter. On the other hand, releasing a separate statement, the Department of Census and Statistics stated the GDP growth rate for the second quarter of 2020 has been estimated as 16.3% of negative growth rate when compared to the 1.1% of positive growth recorded in the second quarter of 2019. The gross domestic product for Sri Lanka for the second quarter of 2020 at constant price has declined up to 1,936,273 rupees from 2,312,078 rupees, which recorded in the second quarter of 2019. The national tea production in the country in the month of November this year shows a 3.25% increase in production compared to the corresponding month of 2019. Sri Lanka Tea Board issuing a statement highlights that the national tea production in Sri Lanka during the month of November 2020 amounted to 24,807,027 kilograms compared to 24,026,126 kilograms in 2019. Thus, it shows an increase of 78,901 kilograms, accounting to 3.25% against the corresponding month of 2019. Significantly, the production of low-grown tea sector in the month of November this year is higher than that of the last year. But the production of high and medium-grown tea sectors in the month of November this year is lower than that of the last year. Moreover, cumulative tea production for the period of January to November 2020 shows a decrease of 10.1% against last year. Accordingly, overall tea production from January to November in this year is 249,904,044 kilograms. But the tea production for January to November in last year is more than 278 million kilograms. Principal for Tax and Regulation at KPMG Sri Lanka, Suresh R.I. Pereira stresses that the intermediary of the real estate investment trust, that is the rate vehicle, should not be subject to tax or only for a very low tax situation. These observations were put forward at the recent webinar titled Rates the Way Forward and Opportunities, organized by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka and the Colombo Stock Exchange, focusing on the newly introduced Real Estate Investments Trust Framework. Director Corporate Affairs at the Securities and Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka, Dr. Harshana Surya Peruma, highlighted that the Sri Lankan capital market can now formally accept applications for creating real estate investment trusts not only for commercial and residential properties but also for infrastructure projects. He further noted that in Sri Lanka, the attractiveness of rates is expected to be further enhanced owing to the tax incentives included in the national budget. Speaking on the process of listing a rate on the stock market, the CSE Chief Regulatory Officer Renuka Wijewardene added that it would only take around 50 days from the point CSE grants approval for the listing application up to the point of listing the units and be made available for trading on the CSE. Principal for Tax and Regulations at KPMG Sri Lanka, Suresh R.I. Pereira, pointed that it is desirable that the intermediary, that is the rate vehicle, should not be subject to tax or only for a few low tax situations, and also said that most of the countries around the world, in order to achieve this status, has introduced specific rate-related tax provisions into their tax statutes. President of CS Sri Lanka, Manil Jayasinghe, elaborated on the importance of the independence of the property valuation that needs to be produced and the appointment of a specialized panel of advisors which would safeguard the interests of the unit holders. Stay tuned for more news right after this break. Welcome back after the break. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a negative note today. The all share price index dropped 31.52 points to close at 6,624.15, and the S&P SL20 dropped 19.68 points to close at 2,583.01. Turnover was 4.4 billion rupees and over 610 million shares were traded. Up next are forex rates. With that, we'll be signing out for today. See you tomorrow with State of Business at the usual time. Until then, take care and good night.